for versatility, you can use several sizes of wheel, and there are actually two distinct types of wheels which you may not be aware of. So this is a bicycle wheel out of a kid's bike, 20-inch BMX probably, and it has to be supported both sides, and that's typically supported in the front fork or the rear triangle. So when we're putting it on a trailer, we have to make sure we can support it both sides. And so that's it, it's just a basic wheel. And actually, while we're on the subject, 20-inch wheels seem to be the optimum size for these type of carts. It's small enough to be very strong. As you go smaller, the wheels get stronger, they can take more weight. They have more lateral resistance to being pushed this way, which they're not used to on a bike, but they do get on a trailer. So this is an optimum between rolling resistance and lateral strength, and also keeping your center of gravity as low as practical. And so it involves slightly more complicated attachment than the other type of wheel, which I'm going to show you, and that is what are known as industrial cantilevered or cart type, like CART, and they're only supported, they only need to be supported on one side. They've got a much heavier axle, which is usually in this case it's a high grade bolt, grade 8, and you see that the axle looks a bit like the tow bar. It's different size. This is a 1/2-inch coarse nut welded on. This is a piece of the shopping cart, and so they weld on each end, and the length we make them is 2 or 3 inches more than the wider part of the cart. And then this screws in. You've got a lock nut, so you can, and this only has to engage with the interface, the inner race I should say, but you screw it in, and by adjusting the lock nut on this, you can get it so it's runs smoothly with no play. You don't want any play in the thing. So this uses an axle, which is a grade 8 bolt, like I said. It has sealed bearings. I don't need any maintenance. The nut has to only cover the inside race. This is the outside race here. You don't want the bolt to be touching the outside race with a washer or anything. Just a thing to remember. So that's a simple way, and then of course this is easier to weld onto the cart. Just one piece of tube. And so that's common, and that's the way I make most of them, because I've got access to these wheels and it's a little easier for me. But if you're doing this with bicycle parts, it takes longer, but they're all free, and you're going to end up with a good cart anyway. So for this we need, oh sorry, let's go back. So that's one type of axle. Here's another one, quite a simple axle. You just get yourself some 1/2-inch ready rod from the scrapyard. I bought a whole bundle of these at 50 cents a pound, so this thing cost me $1 probably. But it comes with nuts, and so you would just make this allow for the wheel here. This is this type of wheel, by the way. We're still talking about the cart wheel. And cut it to length, and you could weld this right to the cart. It's not as strong as the other ways, but what the heck, it's cheap and it's easily replaceable. Another way similar to that one is to take, once again, this is a part of the shopping cart, and this is a piece of 1/2-inch ready rod that you can get at scrapyards, pick up small pieces on building sites anywhere, and we want to bring this down to 1/2 inch, so this, we weld that piece of tube in there, and then this will weld in, and we need that spacing to suit the hub, and the washers go each side of course, and the pin goes in, and the pin is all that holds the wheel in, but that's a standard way of doing it. And the only thing is it makes it easier to steal, but this is a cheaper way. You get that set, and then you just weld this whole thing onto the frame, the cart frame. So that's your 3 ways. There's other ways, of course. There's always other ways. If you can get your hands on some wheels from the kiddie carts. Okay, so that's that. Now if we go to this type of wheel, we need a more complicated structure, and that's what this is. And it's very important that these are square. That's why I'm talking about using squares. They have to be parallel to each other. They have to be square to this, because this is going to be on the center of the cart. We have to then cut the two pieces of chassis to join them together here, and this has to be the width of the cart plus a couple inches. And for these to fit on the end of this tube, you can file them a little bit. So I just, this wheel should fit. I haven't tried it. So, pretty good. Lines up. It has to line up this way and line up with this one. So that holds the forks in alignment while you do all the welding to get it together. So, and so this then is a very strong attachment. And we show you the one outside there, the finished one. We actually put another support from here up to the side of the cart. It makes this a lot stronger. This short ones are probably strong enough. When you get the longer ones, you need some extra support for them. And I've cut the rest of these forks off, the races that take the ball bearings. Just knock them off, they all just drive off. Same as the parts on the headset of the bike, they're just pressed on, so you can knock all that off to get back to the bare tube.